didn't have coffee today and it's like, I'm not doing well. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Brianna, and if you are new here, then don't forget to subscribe. I put out videos every single Wednesday on various things, so you should check out my channel and definitely can hit that subscribe button down below. And as always, feel free to follow me on all my social medias, which are right here down below. Today's video I'm really excited about. I'm doing a college Q&A video. I thought this would be really helpful for anybody out there that has some random questions about college life, the college process, what happens when you get to college, I don't know, all of those things. I really like making these types of videos, so I kind of just looked up a bunch of popularly, is that a word? I don't know. I graduated college, so I don't even know English. Commonly asked questions about college life and sort of the college vibe that I wanted to sort of answer the best of my knowledge, because I did do 4 years of college. I went to Marist College. It was the best experience I could have ever asked for. I had the best time. If you're about to go into college, these are probably questions that you might have. So if you're interested in seeing me answer some of those, then keep watching. So the first question I'm going to answer is, can I earn college credit in high school? And the answer to that is yes. I believe everybody knows about this, but you can earn college credit a few different types of ways. You can take certain honors courses or tracked courses, depending on how your school does it, which are basically courses that you're taking sort of a level above and maybe get credit from a school near you, and then you can transfer those credits to your school. So what I mean by that is, I took a calculus class in high school, for example. I was able to get college credit from a college from where I live called Adelphi, and then when I ended up going to Marist, I was able to transfer those credits that I had to Marist, and then I didn't have to take like that particular class again, or like they transferred for something else. That is one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is if you take AP classes and you pass your AP exam. Certain colleges will give you a certain amount of credits based on what you scored on your exam. So usually if you get a 3, a 4, or a 5, they will give you credit. Some schools don't do the 3, so look into what your school accepts, but most schools will probably take the 3. And if you're going to a liberal arts school, this is really helpful because you could take a science exam like I did. I took AP Bio, I got a decent score on it, and then when I went to Marist, they took those credits and I didn't have to take a science class. So, you know, that's just the easiest way of doing it. And the other way of doing it in your high school is if you take a college level course. I don't know, let's say you take like an accounting 101 that your high school offers. You could take that and then you're one step closer to completing your degree in college. So yes, you definitely can take credit in high school, and I encourage it because it'll put you ahead of the game and you won't have to worry about completing all those credits once you get to college. Okay, the next question is, do my AP and SAT scores really matter for getting into college? The answer to that one is yeah, I think so. I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, back to the question. Yeah, I definitely think they do matter, at least to a certain extent. I think a lot of schools are starting to get rid of standardized tests like the SAT and the ACT. I think that's smart on their part because not everybody is a test taker, and I think people crack under pressure, and I just think like one big test shouldn't define who you are as a student and shouldn't override the work that you've been doing for the last 4 years in high school. So I definitely think you should take them, you should have them, and if you do well, you could send them to your school and let them know, hey, I did well, here you go. A lot of schools are making it not mandatory anymore, so they're making them optional essentially, and what I did was my school was optional, and I actually did relatively well on my ACT. I did okay on my SAT as well, but my ACT was better, so I ended up sending my ACT scores so that it would help me because I had done relatively well on it. If you do okay on it, or you know, where you're in that like range of what your school accepts, then just send it because it's only gonna help you. I mean, unless you didn't do that well, then if it's optional, then you don't need to send it. Only send it if it's gonna help you in the long run. But that's not the only thing that colleges will weigh based upon like your whole profile. They will look at your grades in the last 4 years. They will look at like what you've done, if you've been active. So the AP and the SAT are not AP and the SAT and ACT are not like the only thing they're gonna look at. That's not the only thing that they're gonna weigh your college acceptance on. The next question is, what do college admissions professionals look for in extracurricular activities? It depends on the school, but most of the time what they're looking for is if you are with a club or an activity or a sport or whatever forever for 4 years. That looks really good on your like resume or your application because it looks like you stuck with this thing, you were consistent, you loved this one thing, you did it for all 4 years, it was a big part of your life. I think it does look weird if like you did one club in your freshman year, another club in your sophomore year, and then you went back to that club in junior year, and then you only did it for half the semester or half the year, and then you did a different club your senior year. I think it's all over the place, and I'm not gonna say it looks bad because it would look like that your taste and your, you know, likes are diverse, but I don't think that looks as good as being consistent with something. So find something you love, stick with it. I did choir and theater for 4 years and I was consistent with it. And the other thing that the admissions are looking for is a board position. So they want to see that you were in some sort of leadership position. Whether that means you're president of your honor society club or you were a treasurer for your choir, like they want to see that you had some sort of leadership position, because then, you know, when you get accepted to the school, they're like, oh great, we have this amazing leader from this high school. You know what I mean? Like, and it just makes you look good. So definitely try to take on a leadership role if you can. Okay, the next one is, are extracurricular activities important in college? It's kind of like the high school thing. Yes, they are important because again, when you go to, you know, apply jobs, when you go to start applying for jobs after college, those bosses and those people are going to be looking for leadership again. And they want to know, like, hey, did you do any clubs? Were you part of any of these like societies, whatever? And did you hold a leadership position? Because again, those companies are gonna want somebody that has those leadership qualities, that can take control, that can make decisions, that can handle the responsibility that maybe you're gonna be handed at that job. So it's kind of the same thing as high school. I definitely think they're important. Not as important, but I definitely think you should try to do a club here or there and try to hold a leadership role if you can. Okay, the next one is, are private colleges always more expensive? I don't 100% know the answer to this question, but I'm pretty sure I am educated enough to make an educated guess. My answer is yes, they are always more expensive. I can tell you that SUNY schools, for at least my state, I live in New York State, it depends on where you guys live, but SUNY schools in New York State are cheaper than going to a private school in the same state. So when you go to a state school, it just happens to be a little bit cheaper, and I ended up going to a private school, but it wasn't one that was like over the top, and my family was fortunate enough to afford it, and I was able to get a scholarship. So it just depends on like what you can afford, where you want to go, all of that. But typically private schools are more expensive, and also if you go out of state, it can be more expensive. I know a lot of schools have different tuitions for in-state and out-of-state. So for example, like my friend went to UNC. If you go to UNC but you live in North Carolina, then your tuition is going to be cheaper than coming from somebody that's going to go there from New York. So just look into like your in-state tuition, and if that, you know, weighs like heavily, and if that's something that's important to you, paying in-state tuition versus a state school or whatever, then definitely look into that, because private schools can definitely be a little bit more expensive. Okay, the next question is kind of related. Can I really save money by going to school in my home state? And I kind of just answered that. Yes, you can. Like I said, in-state tuition is different than out-of-state tuition, so you can definitely save a little bit, maybe a couple thousand, not a ton of money, but again, just look into the school that you want to go to and what they're offering. And again, if you can get a scholarship, that will totally help your situation do really well in school so that you can score that scholarship. The next question is, do all colleges have study abroad programs? Again, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I'm gonna say probably not. I know there's a bunch of, you know, community colleges near me and certain schools that don't offer study abroad programs, but most schools do. And even if you can't do a study abroad program through your school, you can look into like Birthright or doing a service trip or like any of those other things outside of school, and you can probably even do some sort of study abroad during the summer if you're interested in really just doing the abroad part. It's something to look into. My school offered 1,000,000,001 programs to study abroad in all the different countries, and most schools offer the same thing, and they offer different types. You can go for a semester, you can go for a year, you can go for a few months, you can go for the summer, like, you know what I mean? It just depends on who you are, what you want to do. You really want to go for that long. I went for a semester and it was the perfect amount of time. I almost wish I stayed a little bit longer. If you guys want to see a video on my study abroad experience, me answering study abroad questions, how I got there, where I went, what my experience was like, all of that, then leave a comment down below, because I'm thinking about making a video about that. I could talk about that for hours. I have so much to talk about my experience, so if you want to see that, comment below. Okay, the next question is, does campus housing affect the value of my college experience? So my initial reaction to this question when I saw it that was, oh yeah, probably, you know, I lived on campus. I couldn't imagine not living on campus. I think it made my experience what it was, and being able to live with my best friends and waking up and going to get coffee in the morning and going into each other's rooms and talking about what happened the night before, or like whatever. I don't know. I just loved living with my friends, and like even at like 8, 9 o'clock at night, we could watch movies together. I think that was a big part of my college experience, and I don't see me not dorming. So I definitely think if that's the kind of experience you want, then you should dorm. But obviously not everybody can afford it. And I actually have a friend who didn't study abroad. She studied abroad. She didn't dorm at her school, and so I asked her this question and asked her if her college experience was affected in any way, and I will read you guys what she said. I will also put her link to her Instagram down below. I'm giving her a shout out. Jen, thanks for your commentary. I appreciate it. So I will read to you guys exactly what she said to me. Basically, I just said, do you think your campus housing affected the value of your college experience? Because like I said, she stayed at home all 4 years. So she said, in some ways, yes, but in other, absolutely not. I went into college saying that I wanted to have the away experience. So because I went in with that mindset, I did everything in my power to make how I wanted it. By luck, I made friends that lived on campus at orientation. I hung out with them after classes and made the effort. Eventually, I was able to stay and sleep at their places, so it was an amazing experience for me. Sometimes it was annoying that I had to go home after watching Netflix with my friends in their dorms, but that's what I signed up for. Because that's the experience that I wanted to have, this is the funny part, was the Hannah Montana of college, had the best of both worlds. Able to eat my mom's cooked meals and still have a place to crash on a thirsty Thursday. I did meet people that let the distance, God, I cannot speak today. I did meet people that let the distance and the home value affect them in a negative way because they didn't make as much of an effort that I did. I forced myself to be around and meet new people, eat in the main area to make friends, and I gave it my all, and I can say that college was an amazing experience for me. So thank you, Jen, for that answer, and I hope that answers some of your guys' questions if you are trying to decide if you want to dorm or stay at home. Like I said, I was so happy that I dormed. I loved the college experience that I had, but so did she, and she stayed at home. So if you can find that group of friends that, you know, lets you crash on their couch or their floor or whatever, and you guys can watch a movie and then you can crash there, you can probably just leave like a toothbrush there, an extra pair of clothes or whatever. If you can find an amazing group of friends that let you do that, then I definitely would say go for it, live at home, don't worry about it, and your experience will be just as great as if you dormed there. The next one, how can I avoid the freshman 15? Clearly I didn't. But I guess I would say, like, work out as often as possible and try to eat as best you can. It's so hard in college because in a freshman dorm you don't have your own kitchen, you can't cook your own stuff, you kind of just eat what they have in the dining hall, and a lot of the times at night if I was hungry I just like snacked on mac and cheese and popcorn, and you know, it's kind of hard. And the whole working out thing is hard because most schools have a free gym that you can utilize, but I personally was so busy my freshman year that I just like never had the time, so you just gotta make the time for it if you really want to avoid it. Next one is, how can I best keep up with my classwork? Again, if you guys want to see a video on like studying tips and time management and how I keep organized and how I do everything for school, leave a comment down below. To answer this question, it's all about time management and organization. So I personally have a written planner, and a lot of people keep stuff in their phones, but I don't love that method. So I have a written planner that I actually got from Lily Pulitzer, but you can get them at Michael's, you can get them at Target, like whatever. They're really, really cute. If you're a guy, you can just get a regular notebook and use it as a planner. No biggie. And so that planner I keep pointing over there, it's because it's sitting over there. Basically, I will write my entire life, and basically it's got like each day and all the tasks I can do that day. It's got a month layout, and so I just write like somebody's birthday, this is due, I have this event that day, you know what I mean? And I just add all the events that I have. Keep myself as organized as possible, and I've always really been diligent about work, and I've always had the greatest time management skills. I don't know, I was just born with it. And I just know how to manage my time in a way where I'm not procrastinating, and like I definitely do my own procrastinating here and there, don't get me wrong, it happens to the best of us, but in high school was just able to manage my time in a way that I would get what I had to get done, you know what I mean? I didn't pull one all-nighter while I was in college. People will tell you otherwise, that was all they did, but I never had to, because I was like, okay, this is due on Friday, I'm gonna start it on Monday and try to be done by Wednesday, and then this way if I didn't meet that goal, it's like, okay, I have that extra day in between between Thursday to get done what I have to get done. And I'm like somebody that like, okay, 10-page paper, 2 pages this day, 2 pages that day, 2 pages this day, because not only does like your brain totally refresh the next day, and you get all these new thoughts, and sometimes I'll read it and I'll be like, oh, and I've just like got a whole new, you know, perspective. It just gives my brain a break. I can write 2 pages pretty quickly and not be too stressed out about it, and then move on to other work, you know what I mean? So that's the best way to do it. Keep up with your work, staying organized, writing it all down, figuring out time management. Of course, college is so fun. You want to hang out with your friends. So a lot of people will just like leave all their homework till Sunday. I was somebody that just tried to do a little bit every night, you know what I mean? So that when Sunday rolled around, I could still sleep in after a night out, do 3 hours of work, and then just do Netflix for the rest of the day. So that's that. Okay, the next one is, how do I avoid the college party scene? It's not that hard to avoid. Honestly, it's who you align yourself with. And I actually got another question from my friend Rachel, who I will also put her handle here. Thank you, Rachel, for sending this question to me. She basically said that it's a 1-to-1 ratio of people that go out and people that stay in, so you shouldn't feel any pressure to do either. So I think this is probably like one of the biggest concerns that people have is like, oh, like I'm not the one to go out. I'm just like a homebody. I just want to stay in and watch Netflix or play games with my friends. Like I don't really want to go out and like do the party thing, you know? And I totally get that. Not everybody's into it. If you are, you just look for those people that look like they want to go out and have fun all the time. I don't know. But if you're not, then just make sure you align yourself with people that aren't really into that. And you can kind of tell when you meet somebody. They're like, oh my god, we're at college. I can't wait to party this weekend. You know what I mean? Then you know like, not for me, not my type, no. And it's kind of easy to like, you know, weave in and out of friends freshman year because you're trying to find your way. So I would just say like, yeah, just find that group of people. Look for the people on your floor that are staying in on that night and be like, hey, you mind if I join you? Hey, do you guys want to watch a movie in my room? You guys want to play a game? Like whatever. And just kind of like feel around for what people are interested in. Again, like I don't think there's that much pressure to do either. I know plenty of people that didn't really go out all 3 years, and then when they turned 21, their senior year, they started to go out a little bit more, and I know people that just like didn't do that at all. It's totally up to you. You don't have to feel pressure about it. To each its own, you know what I mean? Like I was somebody that did partake in the party scene. I did go out like maybe once a week. It wasn't anything crazy. I wasn't going out like 5 days a week. I can't afford that. But you know, I had my nights in and I had my nights out. So it's just, it's all about balance. And again, if that's what you want, then put those out there, put those feelers out there, and just make sure people know, hey, I'm good with staying in. The next question is, how do I know which degree suits me best? I would say for this is find out what you're passionate about and go for it. Honestly, like I am the queen of changing her mind. I went into college thinking like, okay, I like math. I don't really know what I'm gonna do with that, so I guess I'll teach. And then I decided about halfway through college that that's not what I'm really passionate about. I'm passionate about math, but I'm not passionate about teaching. So I would say think about like during your senior year, during the summer before you go into college, figure out what you're really passionate about, what you want to study. If you want to go into business, there's so many different things you can do in business. If you want to study psychology because you want to be a social worker, like whatever it is, like whatever you're passionate about. The only thing I would say is be careful about degrees that don't have too many jobs. And what I mean by that is like, don't get a degree in music or don't get a degree in art. And no offense to anybody out there that has those degrees. It's just like they're really, really hard to find a job with those degrees. Unless you know like, oh, I want to be an art trader, oh, I want to be an artist, or I want to be a composer. Like then I could understand. But problem is I know a lot of people that go into these degrees and they come out of college and they go like, now what? And it's like you have to have an idea of what you want to do if you're going to go with those degrees. And those degrees are just so hard to find jobs. And like I said, no hate, no shade to people that have those degrees. It's just harder to find a job with those degrees than, you know, teaching or business, because then you know where you're going to go. So just be careful and just go for what you're passionate about. How important is acceptance rate when looking at colleges? I think this is somewhat important, but I wouldn't say it's everything. So when you're applying to colleges, just look at the acceptance rate, because you want to know if you're going to apply to Harvard that has a 1% acceptance rate, you might want to apply to some other colleges because you might not get in. You know what I mean? Unless you're like brilliant. Apply to more than one college, please. I know it's expensive, but God forbid you don't get in that college. You are going to be shit out of luck. It's going to suck. And I know people that have done this and then ended up in a place where they didn't want to be. And you have to give yourself options. I'm not saying apply to 10 schools, but don't apply to one school. Apply to 2 or 3, at least so you have some options. If 2 of them let you down, then you got a safe one that you would be happy with. Just give yourself those options so that you're not in a place where like you have to settle for like a community college because you didn't get into the one college you applied to. So I would just say be careful about the acceptance rates. Just look into it so that you have an idea. And they just are really, really selective, and sometimes you don't know what they're looking for that year. So I would just say look into the acceptance rates. Not everything, but definitely give yourself options. How important is it to declare a major in the first year of college? I would say pretty important. Again, it's not everything. You can definitely take that extra year to figure out what you want to do, but the problem with doing this is that you end up being behind your degree. So the people that started freshman year, went right into business and went for it, and you're starting your sophomore year, you are either going to have a heavier caseload and just have to like take more classes at one time. If you can handle that, good for you. That's awesome. But if not, you might need to graduate late, which like it's not the biggest deal in the world. You might have to just graduate like the next December. It's not the worst thing in the world, but again, you are giving more money to the school that you're already paying for. So I would say definitely try to have an idea of what your major is going to be before you start freshman year, but it's not the worst thing in the world, like I said. And there are a lot of majors that like if you do start a year late, if you do start your sophomore year, it's not the worst thing in the world and you can catch up and you can be done just like everybody else. Totally possible, but again, just be careful, figure out how much work is needed for a particular major and go from there. How important is the student-faculty ratio in college? This was something that was really important to me, might not be so important to you. I wanted class sizes that were like my high school class, not more than 30 kids, one professor. This was important to me because I wanted the professor to get to know who I was, and you know, I don't like classes where it's like they don't take attendance because they have no idea who anybody is and there's 300 kids and they don't really care about you. I know people will say like, oh, the professors care about each and every... No, they don't. I'm sorry. Not when there's 300 kids in a class. They don't even know your name. If you show up or don't show up, they don't care. And I just don't think that's like a fundamental way of learning, personally. If it's like a dumb class, if it's just like a liberal arts class that you have to take, then it's like, okay, whatever. But I wanted a class that it was going to be small enough where the professor would know what I looked like, knew my name, and I was able to I was able to form relationships with those professors so that I could potentially get a job. And honestly, just being able to have relationship with those professors in a way where like we could joke in class and have fun, and I don't know, that just meant a lot to me. So it really depends on your personal preference, but I wanted a small class size and I wouldn't have traded it for the world. The next one is, how should I prepare to study abroad? Prepare to study abroad, there's a lot you have to do. You have to make sure you have in all your paperwork, all your school stuff is set in place. Once you have all of the heavy stuff in place, then my biggest thing was packing. Figuring out how I was going to bring all my stuff to Europe and what I was going to bring. And during the time I was going, it was January, February. I went to Ireland. It was cold. It's always cold in Ireland and it's a rainy place. So I made sure I brought a lot of sweaters, a lot of jeans, stuff to wear in the rain jacket. Depends on where you go and what you're going to need. But made sure I was prepared for all that. Also made sure my passport was in order. I had other stuff for traveling. So like, even though I was bringing these big luggages because I was going to be there for a few months, I wanted to make sure I had like a little travel bag so that if I went from Ireland to Spain for the weekend, I had a little weekend bag. I had all that stuff. I had enough products to last me for the 4 or 5 months. I did a little bit of research of where I was going to live, what was going to be around me. Do I have a grocery store? Do I have a place to get, I don't know, Band-Aids in case I needed them? Random stuff like that, like just making sure I had the things around me that I would need. And that's truly the best way to prepare. And again, if you want to see a video on the study abroad, comment down below. The next one, is attending a community college a good option? I definitely think it's a good option for certain people. If you're somebody that can't afford 4 years of college, community, why did I say it like that? Community college is a good choice for you. I know a lot of people that did 2 years in community college and then ended up going to a 4-year accredited college and finished their other 2 years there. And the best thing about that is that when you actually graduate, your degree is from that accredited college and not from the community college. So I think it's honestly such a great way to save money those first 2 years if you're somebody that is not really sure if college is for you, or you just want to save the money and want to use it for those last 2 years. Then I definitely think the community college plan, at least for the first 2 years or even first year, it doesn't matter, is a good option. And like I said, I know people people that have done it and have benefited from that, and then their degree ends up being from a top college, which is really, really awesome. You know, like money or whatever's holding you back shouldn't stop you from getting a degree from that accredited college. And once you do your last 2 years there, like, you're good. So I definitely think it's a viable option for some people. And if, again, you're not really sure if college is what you want to do, you could try out community college and then see where you want to go from there. The next one is, what are some good time management strategies to employ at college? So I would say for time management, I think I kind of mentioned this before, but staying organized is going to be the best way to sort of manage your time. Try to make sure I kind of plan out my day hour by hour. And I know that sounds really intense, but if you have a schedule like I did in college, then that was kind of just what I had to do. So basically, you know, I'd say, okay, I'm in class from 11 to 12:30, and then from 12:30 to 2, I'm going to work on this paper. Then I have class at 3:15 or 3:30, and I'm going to eat like between 2:30 and then my 3:30 class, and I'm going to go to my 3:30 class, and then I get out of that at around 5, so then from 5 to 6 I'll eat dinner, and then from 6 to 8 I'll finish my paper. Kind of like planning it out in a loose enough way where it doesn't have to be exactly like 1 hour for this, 30 minutes for this, 25 minutes for this, like, but just giving yourself enough time to, you know, eat and take care of yourself and shower and also get all of the work done that you need. And remember, you always have the weekends. I know that's not favorable and nobody wants to spend their Saturday inside working on homework, but if it's your last resort, it's your last resort, and most people spend Sundays doing homework anyway. It's just kind of how it works out. So another way to sort of keep track of time management is to sort of prioritize what you need to do. If you have a paper due Monday, but you have a math test on this coming Friday, then you study for the math test first, then do the paper, because you have 2 extra days to do the paper. You know what I mean? Like, make sure everything is working in according to where it's due. And it's like, okay, well, I'd rather write my paper than study, but it's like, no, you have a test in a few days, do that first and then worry about the paper. That's how I set up my schedule and how I would make sure I prioritize things. Just kind of made the most of my time. Like, even if I had to stay up till 11 o'clock or midnight to just finish something so I wouldn't have to do it that weekend, then I would do it, because I'd rather have the weekends free to kind of do what I want. Okay, the next one is, what are some good ways to stay active while in college? So staying active, I don't know if this question is more directed towards like working out and staying active, or like staying active like joining clubs and stuff, but I guess I'll talk about both. For the working out thing, it's just finding the time. I don't know, it's up to you. If you work out twice a week, then, you know, pick 2 days and just go to the gym, drive to the gym, whatever you want to do. There's usually a gym on campus that you can use for free if you're at an accredited college. And if you can't find the time to go to the gym, then I would just say run around your campus, run up and down the stairs, get a little exercise that way. You know, take the stairs instead of an elevator if it's available, and just find little ways to sort of work out while you're walking around campus. The other way of staying active, if we're talking about like groups and stuff, then I would say to go to your activity fair the first week of college. Every school usually has an activity fair in the very beginning in August before you go, or before you start classes, and then I know some schools will also do one in the winter, so I would say take advantage of both if they're available. Walk around, talk to people about different groups and events and things that you can get involved with, and see what's your best fit. Whatever you're interested in is what you should join. I know at my school it was like kind of mandatory because my school worked on a point system, and so the more clubs that you were involved in or the more activities you were doing, you got more points, which allowed you to have better housing the year after. So if your school works like that, then find an easy club to do. That's all I gotta say. Just find out whatever you're interested in. If you're interested in theater, then join the theater club. If you're interested in art, then see if there's an art club. It's really just all about finding what you're interested in and making friends that way and staying active in that sense. And another way of staying active, I guess, could be getting a job on campus. I didn't work on campus, so I don't exactly know how this works at a college. I guess like if there's an employment center, or like maybe at the library they offer resources, I'm really not sure, but you can ask to see if there's any available positions on campus and you can apply to that, and that'll definitely keep you active. The next one is, what can I expect my freshman year of college to be like? So everybody's freshman year of college I think is different, but if you're the type that wants to make the most of your experience, then it's going to be a crazy year. First of all, it's going to be a lot more work than what you you are used to from high school. So definitely be prepared for that. Again, it's all about staying organized, all about time management. Do as much of that as you can and make sure everything is where it needs to be, I suppose. It's really a crazy year. You're gonna meet so many new people, you're gonna have so many new experiences, you're gonna make friends here and there, and it's honestly such an amazing time. Like I said, it's different for everybody. So my freshman year experience was, like I said, a lot of work, but I also found time to play. So I did go out on the weekends, I did have a good time with my friends. We made the time to do that kind of stuff and made sure we watched movies during the week to keep us sane, and we hung out and stayed up to the wee hours of the night talking and all that stuff. So it is going to be whatever you make it out to be. My best advice is just find your group of friends and find those people that are interested in the same things you are. Find the people that you are going to mesh the best with and that have the same interests as you. If you're somebody that doesn't want to go out and be a part of the party scene, then just don't align with those people. But your freshman year is going to be what you make it, so take advantage of every opportunity. Have the most fun you absolutely can, because I'll be honest, it only gets harder after freshman year. Take advantage of your freshman year because it's the only time you're going to be a freshman, but it's really, that was one of my most fun years that I had at college. Alright guys, so that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope I answered a bunch of your questions. I hope it was super helpful. Whoa. If you want to see more videos like this about college, my college experience, or more advice or anything like that, then again, leave a comment down below and give this a thumbs up so I know that you guys liked it. And again, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 200 or 250 subscribers by the end of the year. That is the goal, so please subscribe. And if you liked this video, you might like some of my other videos, so take a look at those. As always, you guys can follow me on my social media, which are linked down below, and I will see you guys next week for another video. Bye!